kid's finger. And I'm in the hospital, literally getting ready to leave. And my husband had to go get him and take him to the hospital. And it was just very mind-blowing, but I am grateful that mine was not like my mother's or my husband's mom now. She has cancer, and she's going through a lot of stuff, and it's very hard. Seeing my mother going through the chemo and the radiation and everything what she had to do, and now with Bill's mom, it's just really tough,
Mm-hmm. So you, I was thinking of your recovery. I know you said that you was out for 2 weeks. Was it longer?
Oh no, I was out for a total of 8 weeks from work because they wouldn't let you're not supposed to walk. You need to get up and walk. But my girlfriend and I were training for a half marathon, so I couldn't run. I couldn't go to work out. I was weightlifting at the time. All I could do was walk from my bedroom to the den or to the bedroom to get the mail, and you have to recovery is very, very slow on that. Even though you feel like you can just do whatever, all of a sudden you're just like, and through that surgery, my bladder dropped. So 1 year later to the day, I had to go back into the hospital to have my bladder checked out because I guess that space isn't there and my body shifted. And so I had 2 surgeries in 2 years. Yeah.
So what was you thinking emotionally through everything?
Everyone is, because you hear everybody, like my husband saying, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. But you always have that, like the night before, not night before, but that week before, I went out with my girlfriends and I was just like, because for some, I thought I'm going to die on the table, because I haven't had surgeries, and so I just thought I just didn't want to die and leave my children, because I think that goes through everybody that they're going to get in there, and like they did get in there, and it was worse than what they thought it was, but it wasn't like super bad, So you just never know until they get in there, and I think that like with me not going to the doctor, and who knows if another doctor would have found it 5 years earlier or anything like that. But I think that is something, even though I don't follow the practice, that women need to go to their doctors. They need to make sure they have those checkups every year. They need to make sure that they're doing the right things. Because just one, if somebody finds a lump someplace and just lets it go 2 months, in that 2 months, you never know if it's like a fast-growing cancer or if it's just a slow-growing, like mine down there is just very slow-growing. You don't know, but you should definitely, try to get it checked out, You
done? You crack me up. You just crack me up. It's too cool. So I was just so caught up with what you were saying. That is so vital because we feel like what you were saying is that, one, if I don't like a doctor or if I don't like doctors, period, for whatever reason, I'm not going to go to one of them. And so many of us, whether it's men or women, we choose not to get checked because of the fear of, if I go, they're going to find something, instead of us looking at it as a preventive.
Yes. But I think now, especially with our health insurance plans that we have, I was just on this one health insurance plan down here, and they're just, the doctors that I went to, because I was going to go just to be checked up, it was just like a no-go. I just walked in and I was just like, I'm not seeing this we can't choose our doctors anymore. Whereas before all this health stuff was going on, I could go to any doctor, but now it's like you can only see these 5 doctors, or you can only see this doctor or something like that. And if they're so busy, number one, that I don't see how they have time to do anything, because they see you're there for 3 hours when you go see a doctor normally. You know, you're sitting there waiting for the doctor. He comes in and spends 30, 45 seconds with you. You got to get your whole life out because you've never seen him before. And you're not going to see him again hardly, you know, because it's going to be some other doctor in there that's doing something. I don't see how they can truly do what they need to do, you know, and if you're not comfortable with a doctor, I won't see him again if I'm not comfortable with a doctor, you know, like that's why I didn't have the surgery to begin with, because I did not want for him to touch me or his wife to touch me again. And it just happened that was the only doctor that my family doctor worked with on stuff like that. You know, because we tried to get someplace else and stuff, and it was just like, no, you know.
So it's safe to say that even when you're going for a regular checkup, if you don't have the right vibes or you don't feel the right, you know, because we as women, we have this embedded kind of alarm in us that when something's not right, we like, okay, something's not right.
If
so
you
we have
feel
to just,
that,
we have to just listen to ourselves and just say, okay, this doctor, I don't feel right in here or whatever.
Yes.
And just move on to someone else. Now, you mentioned about insurance, though. I know this is not an insurance topic, but I want to just kind of clarify that. You said that you only have 5 doctors, but that's based on each person's insurance, isn't it, right?
Yes, on the insurance that you have.
Okay.
And I was grateful to Pike Nursery. I am going to do a shout out to them. When I found out that I had the cancer, I went to one of the hospitals up there. And not knowing, because I didn't read my full policy with Pikes, I just signed up, you know, and did my thing. I went in to have the surgery, and they wanted a $10,000 check then. They wanted me to give them. And I was like, where am I supposed to come up with $10,000? And they were like, your, whatever it is $10,000. We cannot do the surgery until you pay that. So I got up and left again because I was just like, you know, how am I supposed to do that, you know? And actually, Pike Nursery, Mindy called me on the phone a couple of weeks later, and she said, I heard that you have cancer. And I was like, yeah, but I can't afford to have the, you know, I can't even get a loan for $10,000, you know, for God's sake. And they actually paid the $10,000, and I only had to pay $1,000. So my company actually supplemented the $10,000, and it was just $1,000 that I had to pay. And then I got the surgery.
Well, that's a good tip to tell those who are listening to look into your policy on your job, because some people have really good policies, and to see what they do offer.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes.
So how is your healing process now? How are you feeling? What are you doing? Anything changed?
Yeah, so everything has changed. So, like I said, I'm 53 or 54. And
I know you don't remember.
Yeah, I know. So now I have started into menopause because my they took out my uterus. I still have my ovaries, but they took out my uterus and everything. And it was like a year later I started having symptoms. And as I told you, you know, I've gained weight, and I have no energy anymore and stuff like that. So it's been like a downward spiral thing for me. And just mentally, it has messed me. I've not been able to run again like I was running because, you know, I messed up my knee. And then the whole thing just is weird, you know, because it just puts you in a different situation than you were before. Even though I have my ovaries, I feel like having all that other stuff taken out, it must have done something else to me, you know.
So in the process, did you have to get rechecked again? Did you have to go back?
I did. I did go back a year later. I went back to Dr. Lim, and that was a question that I had. How are you going to do a pap smear when there's not a cervix there? You know, because you swipe the cervix, and they do it a different way. So even though I don't have a pap smear, it's called something else. But they still have to check down there because any of the cells could have gotten out into whatever else is down there. I'm not very good with my body system there.
That's okay. I bet our listeners is glad that you're not good. So what are you doing now? I mean, did it change your eating habits? Did it?
I've always tried to eat healthy. My sister in Colorado, JJ, she's the naturalist, organic, and everything. So she's always telling me things to eat, and I can't, like, I'm not supposed to be eating sweet potatoes because it has estrogen in it or something like that. And so, like, one of my clients, I was decorating her house the other day, and she told me that her doctor had put her on a low dose hormone birth control pill to help her with her hot sweats and stuff like that. But she said you can't take that because, it can cause cancer. My sister did give me this book. It's called Anti-Cancer, and it comes with a video, and it's about a doctor during his early years. They were having to do some kind of testing on people, and they had asked some of their friends to come in because they were learning how to use this MRI machine. They were trying to do something with the brain. And one of the clients didn't come in, and we were talking about the sixth, whatever, just a little while ago with your producer. They told him, his two partners said, why don't you just get in it? That way we can get the test done. You get stuff turned in. And when they did it, they found out that he had a brain tumor. And he started doing testing on our foods that we eat in the United States. Why the United States, so many people have cancer. I mean, it's just prevalent in the United States, whereas in the rest of the world, it's not as prevalent. But then he noticed that places in the world that have started eating like us, and we ship our foods to, they have started having more cancer. So he started seeing children and adults, and they did blood testing and urine testing. And when our parents grew up, everything was organic and natural, right? But now people our age think it's some kind of wild thing that people are doing. They're eating organic and they're eating natural, and raising chickens and stuff. That's how life is supposed to be. When he did this test, the normal way that people eat, hamburgers, Burger King, going out to eat and stuff like that, they tested the urine and it was just full of pesticides and antibiotics and things like that coming out of the children's urine. And he took them off and made them go on the weird organic diet where they ate natural and organic foods. Within a week, the urine showed that it was all gone. So that shows how much our food, and our government lets us do this to our food. And there are countries that will not allow our meats to be taken to their country. They will not allow our grains to be taken to the country because their standards are more strict than the United States. And what's going into their country, if they took our stuff to their country, has so many pesticides and stuff like that, and they don't do that, So it's I think here, and people are going back, people are growing their own gardens, and they're trying to do it in an organic way. And people are raising chickens. We had chickens in Georgia that only got organic feed, and I truly believe that that is the root of our problem, or at least one of the roots of the problem in the U.S. causing cancer, is the fact that our government allows us to put pesticides and all this other stuff in our meats and in our vegetables and stuff. Just like with the corn. It's a GMO corn. You should never eat anything that's GMO. The corn itself, when a bug bites it, it dies. But that's okay. The government says that's okay, that a bug will bite something and die, but we can eat it because our bodies are different. And I just think that's a bunch of scooper. I just think that that's wrong. And so I think that we really should try to go back. It's more expensive, a little bit, like maybe 30 cents more expensive here. But when you go, like at Publix, and you go and you check out the meat over there, I buy it's from Georgia, and it's a grass-fed beef, and it's all organic. It's only $1 more per pound than the regular cow that's been shot up with hormones and